Talks with Raenette, where we talk motherhood, faith, love, and hope.
All right, welcome back, beautiful people, to Talks with Raenette. Today, we are going to have a talk about unforgiveness. Not recently, over the last, I want to say 2 or 3 years, God has been intentional with me about forgiveness and what it is doing. About unforgiveness and what it is doing to my heart. And going down this journey of forgiveness, and I also think that I allowed people to speak word curses in my life. Like I was being told, oh, I hold grudges, blah, blah, blah. And to be clear, the type of grudges, quote unquote, I was holding was people that speak on my character. I don't necessarily hold too much of a grudge or just something something that just puts me in this light where I even question myself has been hard to forgive. I've realized, and he's been speaking to me about forgiveness because he cannot give me the promises and the things that he's spoken over my life if I'm holding on to things that people have done to me. And it also causes your heart to go cold and everything like that. Most narcissists, people with narcissistic personality disorder, a lot of things that they kind of have, of course, some of it is passed down through generational blood and stuff like that. But really, honestly, I just feel like it's curses. And it's curses that passes down through the blood, through trauma while they're in the womb, or things that the mother is carrying, or things that the father is carrying that's causing him to be a certain way towards the mother. I think it's stuff like that. But either way, um, all of that, for the heart to go cold, it starts with unforgiveness. It starts with traumatic situations and things that have happened to you in life that have caused your heart to be closed, that have caused you to not be able to trust other people. And all of that is linked through forgiveness. It's like a chain, like a domino effect in your life. It starts with you not being able to forgive. It starts with you not being able to hold grace to somebody who you believe does not deserve the grace. And truthfully and honestly, I believe that almost all of us have been an enemy of God at one point in time, and he gave us grace. So just hold that thought. And that's one of the things that God is showing us, is that we're being hypocritical. There may be things in your childhood you did to another child that they have not forgiven. And that is very real. You know what I mean? Like, there's things in my childhood that I've done to other children that was hard for them to forgive, and was even hard for me to forgive myself when I started getting closer to God, just going through all of everything, and just realizing, that as much as my intentions on a lot of things have never been like to intentionally inflict like pain on people, um, it doesn't mean I didn't cause pain to people. And with that being said, it's just one of those that where I started to realize that, okay, I need to forgive because I'm not perfect. And as much as we want to say that we are, we're not. I don't think any of us is. Only Jesus was. Even if you didn't intentionally want to inflict pain on somebody, you didn't. And they still have to forgive you for some of those things. And you have to forgive. And I say have to because if you don't, you're causing yourself not to get the things that God already has planned for you. And how much does it suck that the person hurt you and they forgot about what they did to you? Because more times than none, all of these people ain't even had a thought about what they did to you. And a lot of times we don't even think about what we did to other people. They didn't have they don't have a clue that you're still holding this. They like, oh, it's been years, you need to forget it. But it's it's sometimes have had you have low self-esteem in life if you had a bully. It sometimes had you questioning who you really were, you know. It sometimes had you alone. It sometimes had people thinking you were somebody that you weren't from the words somebody spoke, like the word curses I call them, which is slander and gossip. And as a person who recently has had to come to terms with how I was gossiping, has had to come to terms with how I potentially slandered someone and unintentionally, because in my mind it's true. But if it has not been proven, it's slander. You can't just say I have a feeling, you know, and it probably is true, but at the same time, there is no physical evidence, only spiritual, like what God gave you and everything. And you can't always speak on those things. A lot of times when God gives you a dream, when God gives you a warning, and you don't have the physical proof yet, you have to keep that to yourself. Or maybe you can say it to someone else, but just don't try to slander their name too much, you know, and try to still hold a level of grace. But what God really is just trying to tell you to do is get away from them. You ain't got to hate them. You just got to get away from them, you know? And he's just been speaking to me on forgiveness so much lately. And I've talked in episodes about forgiveness beforehand. Um, and now that God is maturing me in this space, I realize that forgiveness has so many layers. Like when something else will come up about what they did to you, you know what I mean? And you have to give that to God and just literally say, Lord, I'm having trouble. I'm having trouble forgiving them. I need you to take this from me. I need for you to take this pain from me because I'm too weak to not be upset, not be, you know, not be broken from what it feels like they did to me. Or when the enemy tries to bring it back to you in weak moments where something else is happening. Like it, you just have to continuously give that to God. Forgiveness does not mean you give it and it's done. It means that it's a continual thing. When it comes up in your mind, you continuously, I forgive them. You continuously, you know, um, you know, it's a continuous thing. I'm realizing, like, I was like, man, I've already forgiven that person, but then stuff comes up and I'm like irritated all over again. It's so weird because I wouldn't say I'm mad, but the irritation is there. But I used to be mad, but the irritation is there. And I'm realizing that that unforgiveness for what they did to me 10 years ago is stopping me from getting the promises that God has for me. It's stopping me from not being angry. It's stopping me from not, you know, from catching my mouth, from cussing somebody out, like all of it, like the bitterness, it's stopping me from having friends, like in trusting friends, because um, it was from somebody who called me their best friend. And I'm like, it's stopping me from trusting women, like, or even some of the other things that I've seen more recently, like it stopped me from really trusting women, and it sucks. The way that I know my purpose is in helping women, and now I feel as though I can't even trust them. And I have a friend, you know, who I know I can trust, but there's even some level of doubt there because of what I've seen from other women. And it sucks because I remember listening to other women saying, "Oh, I don't trust women. I don't trust women." And I'd be like, okay, you know, and now I'm there. And the funny part about it is this: it came from those women who said they didn't trust women. That's what's crazy about it to me. It's like, yeah, it's just when this forgiveness is done, they, it does not mean reconciliation. And that's what I'm realizing, because there was moments where I reconciled with people who I didn't really forgive like that. You know what I mean? And it should have been forgiveness without reconciliation, because then it allowed them to cause more pain in the same ways that they caused before, which sucks. Because now it's more wounds on type of wounds that never healed, never got healed, never was given to God. I tried to, but I realized that with me, I have such strongholds on some of the forgiveness because it's been years that I needed to go on a fast, and recently when I went on that fast and I was laying it down, I felt a heaviness lifted from me. I felt like God took it from me because I had to sacrifice, my body completely to him for him to take it away because it had such a stronghold on me. And speaking about what happened, and I'm debating because it's so weird to be in this space where my blood sugar was so low from trying to fast that I got this huge headache, and so I just said, forget it, I'm gonna eat. So I tried to eat. I threw up everything in 5 seconds, and I'm like, this almost feel. And then when I woke up, I was just so like everything was gone in me and my head was hurting, I almost passed out, but I went and ate. And I was trying to do it for 3 days, but either way, I think that 36-hour fast that I did, it released something, and I think that was the headache. And then when I was projectile vomiting. Yeah, I think that was maybe a demon, I don't know, you know what I mean, like something coming out of me. But I had held on to it for years while they're living their absolute best life, at least according to what it looks like, and I'm struggling, and I'm like, I'm glad I released it. And now the enemy, which is trying to bring it back in by other stuff coming up and reminding me of, it's just weird how it's like a domino effect, how unforgiveness really can show up in your life. Because even when someone else does something wrong and you're thinking about this time when this other person does wrong, when you're like, why me? Why am I going through this? But it really like feels like that. So unforgiveness is so important to the kingdom of God. You cannot get your inheritance that God promised you, that, plans to prosper you, plans for, man, why can't I think of, it should be one that I know. This the plans he has for you. You can't get it if you're holding on to unforgiveness where it's making you an ugly person, because that's what unforgiveness does. It makes you really ugly inside. It causes diseases. It causes your body to shut down because you're holding on to stuff. It's not, and if you're claiming to be a Christian, child of God, all of these names and labels, it starts with following Christ, and he forgave them the moment he was on the cross. So it is not a choice. It is a requirement. Until you can do that, God will give you some of your inheritance, but he's not going to give you all of it because you're bitter, because your heart is cold. You can't even see the stuff you've done to other people because you're holding on to unforgiveness. So you, in your mind, think that you've done nothing to anybody, but you don't know that. It could have been a word you said you forgot that hurt somebody for years. And of course, you have to forgive yourself for that too, as well. But it starts with forgiving other people, forgiving yourself. Um, yeah. So that's all I gotta say with that on Toxic Raenette Lee today. So join me next time. Deuces. Have a good one. Oh, yeah, and you might as well go ahead and subscribe, like, share. I mean, help a sister out. Yeah.